Greetings and welcome to another Warhammer 40,000 kill team video where today I'm going over the 5 best kill teams for new players. But before we get into things, please remember to like and subscribe as well as comment. Let me know what you thought of today's video if you found it useful and helpful. And remember, I've got a Discord you can check out for free in the episode description below, an affiliate link at Element Games, and an affiliate link and discount code at Crossfire Games, as well as a Patreon if you want to give me some more support. But yeah, for today, I'm going over the 5 best kill teams I think which work for new players. So I have some qualifying rules here. They have to be competitive from one box, because obviously I would like one box teams because, you know, especially if you're a new player, you just want to buy one box. And then I'm going to try and predominantly pick teams that are not classified for 1 year or yassified for year 1 classified teams, which means if you're playing competitively from late 2025, they won't be viable out of a lot of tournaments, but that's just a minimal thing because that's not going to really matter too much to new players, but just something to keep in mind. But hopefully this is a great tool for new people, especially as it's Christmas time. People are jumping onto the game, and you know, we've already had the launch of Hivestorm as well as Brutal and Cunning. So we should have a new influx of players as well as, you know, new players who have just started with the new edition of Kill Team. So starting off at number 5, we have the Voidscarred Corsairs. So this is an Eldari team. It's a season 1 last edition team. So it's only classified for 1 year and it just made it onto the list. So this is an Eldari team. So the Craftworld Elder, although they are Corsairs, so they work for also the Drukhari and the Void Dancers, well, Harlequins, and kind of, I believe, Exodites as well. So what this team is, they're Eldari pirates. They're very fast, they're very nimble. They're a 9 operative kill team. Everyone has 8 wounds, apart from your leader who is 9, and everyone has a 4-up save. This team is a little bit more difficult to play, but they've become a bit easier to use with the new edition. So the key thing with this kill team is their free ability, which allows them to do a free dash during their activation. So you can do it before or after. You also get a balanced ability, well, accurate one on your Shuriken rifles and rifles. But the main thing here is the ability to do a free dash. Your leader can do a free 1 AP action. So what this gives you is a lot of action economy. And because everyone is 7 inches of movement, effectively you have 10 inches of movement for all your operatives at least. And if they're charging, they have a 9-inch charge. So you get more mobility to play around with. You're more mobile. They have a comms, so they can give someone +1 APL and also heal. You've got a Psyker there who can provide some shielding and teleportation. You've also got the Pistolier, the Starstorm Duelist, who has a Melter Pistol and a Shuriken Pistol. So you have some nice range accuracy there, as well as either the Gunner, which can either have a Blaster or Shredder, and then the Heavy Gunner, which is always going to be the Wraith Cannon, and you also have a Sniper Rifle. And then everyone who's not have a ranged operative has a power weapon, which is really, really good. So you have strong ranged operatives and then very strong melee operatives. So you have a nice balance between both. The cool thing about this team is they now get more ways to re-roll dice. And, you know, with Outcast, they already reward you running off, being independent, so you don't have to bunch people together. But the key thing is with Piratical Profiteers, which now gives you balanced when you're shooting at people on objectives or on mission markers. So you now have lots of ways to get rerolls as well as punishing, which is really, really nice, especially if you're a new player. So you have wide ways to get more rerolls and more accuracy. They've got infiltration and recon, and generally you're going to be picking recon, and they do plant beacons really well, as well as confirm kill, and even with recover items. So you've got some good choices there, and they can do infiltration okay with gather surveillance based on where the board is. So you've got a lot of flexibility there. They are quite hard to play, and if you are going to build them out of a single box, you always build the Felarch with the Neuro Pistol and Power Weapon, because it gives you a piercing 1 weapon. You always build the Fate Dealer. I would build the Gunner with the Blaster, and then you can either magnetize it as the Shredder as well, or just tell your opponents which gun you're using that game. Then I would always build the Heavy Gunner with the Wraith Cannon. Then you build the Kurnathi, the Kernite Hunter, the Shade Runner, the Soul Weaver, the Starstorm Duelist, and the Wayseeker. So that's 10 operatives from a single box, and you're only using 9. So you can swap around depending on what you're playing against. So you already have some introduction to how kill team construction works. You've got really cool operatives like the Shade Runner, who can now teleport through Galdock walls and do slicing attacks. The team's super mobile, fragile, but you've got enough strength, weaknesses, accuracy, and damage, as well as looking really, really cool. So you can even get to explore how you get to do with your painting. So I think they are a great introduction into Kill Team as a starter team. The only issue is they are probably the most difficult team to play on the list, and they are only classified for 1 year if your desire is to play more competitively as you get into the game. Because as I said, this team is only classified for 1 year. So when we get the next season around October time in 2025, it won't be legal at Games Workshop events and some events around the world as well. But number 4, we have another Xenos kill team, and that's the Kommandos. So this is the first Orc kill team. Once again, they're a year 1 classified team, but they're also really, really fun. So I think they've always been a great starter team and remain as a great starter team. So this kill team is effectively a 10 model kill team, although it's always going to be 11 operatives, because you're always going to take the bomb squig and the grot, which gives you 11 activations. So this is the closest you're going to get to a 12 activation team on this list, and I think they play that way the best. Everyone is 10 wounds apart from your bomb squig and grot, which are 5 wounds, and they have a 5-up save, but they have just a scratch. And this key ploy is once per turning point, you can use this ploy to reduce the damage from a normal attack to 0, which actually makes your team quite survivable. And the other cool thing is they can charge from conceal. So they're the only team that can do it as a kill team wide ability. So you don't really have to worry about switching to engage. You can generally threaten quite a lot. And outside of Wreckers, they're the second highest kill team with the most attack dice weapons. So they have 2 operatives with 6 attack dice, the Rocket Boy and the Bomb Squig. And then you've also got the Dagger Boy with 5 dice, as well as the Sniper Boy, because they're more of a mid-range team. Everyone is kind of like really good at shooting, but then you've got nice melee operatives with your Slasher Boy, as well as your Knob, and also your standard boys. And the cool thing about your boys is if you run 2 of them, which generally you are, one can do a free smoke and one can do a free stun each turning point, which gives you 2 extra equipment an extra equipment choice to play around with. So that's really nice utility and, giving you more freedom when it comes to selecting equipment. They're also seek and destroy and infiltration, which is really, really useful. You're mainly going to be playing infiltration with surveillance using the grot, because the grot can just hookshot everywhere. And the key thing when you're learning this kill team is mastering the use of the grot, because it effectively has super conceal. It's not really going to get shot. And when you're playing on Vocus, the key thing you want to do is try and get the drop zone where your opponent has the tallest focus building on their side, so you can hookshot the grot up there and just start doing maxing gather surveillance. But they are a very tough kill team. They're quite forgiving. War is now a lot better, giving you balanced in melee, so you get to reroll 1 attack dice every time you fight, and then you've still got Daka, so it gives you punishing when you're shooting, which is really good considering you pump out a lot of shooting attack dice. You've got really nice equipment with harpoons, and your one weakness is melee, but you've got a lot of mobility and tricks, and everyone's a bit unique apart from the boys, so you get a lot of utility around that. Your Knob is 14 wounds with free APL and can give someone +1 APL, as well as also having a comms. So you have 2 ways to give out +1 APL. So you effectively have a 2 comms team. You don't have much healing, but as I said, you're relying on just a scratch. And I think they're really forgiving and fun. It is a shame they were a year 1 classified team, so they are only classified for 1 year, but they're really, really cool. The models are great. You have a lot of fun painting them. For example, with mine, I've painted them all with the gas masks, but they're a really, really good team. They're really great to learn the game with. You've got 11 activations. You don't care if the bomb squig dies because it doesn't count towards the kill op, and you just really have a lot of fun running that in and charging. Even if it dies, it doesn't punish you. If it does die, your opponent has to use resources to kill it if you don't charge and blow up. So I think they're really, really fun and thematic, but a great starting point for new players. And when it comes to building the Kommandos, they're very simple. You build everything in the box. So you build all the specialists, the bomb squig and the commando grot, and then you have usually 2 boys left over, and that's enough for a full kill team because you're usually dropping a boy or the burner boy for the 2 grot, for the grot and the bomb squig. So they're a very easy 1-box team. For number 3, we have Kasrkin. So Kasrkin are a 2nd edition team from season 2. So they are classified for a lot longer, which is really good. And I think they're a great human starting team for new players. They're a 10 operative kill team. Once again, everyone is 8 wounds with a 4-up save. Your leader is 9. And they're a predominantly shooting team. And the reason I think they're really good is just because they're dependable. Everyone hits on freeze. Like with Corsairs, you're not as fast, but you have different options. Your leader is free APL, and generally will have the plasma pistol and chainsword, and then everyone else is a shooting operative. So this is actually really great because you have one operative to mess around with melee, and then you have 9 other operatives who are very much just running around and shooting stuff, which is great. They're also Seek and Destroy and Security, which are very good archetypes for learning the game with. Generally, I would recommend Security most times, but you can also spec into when you're playing Elites, taking Champion with Seek and Destroy, so you've got some flexibility there. They're also quite fun to paint with really good models, and the cool thing is you have a comms, which is the best comms in the game, because unlike most comms, it can do its boost action twice, so it can give 2 different operatives plus 1 APL and anywhere on the board. So your comms can just sit at the back, giving 2 people plus 1 APL, and because this carries over until they next activate, what you can do is give 2 operatives who haven't activated Turning Point 1 plus 1 APL, so they're free APL, and then next activation in Turning Point 2, when you're going first or second, you can activate the comms again to give 2 more operatives plus 1 APL, so you could effectively have for Turning Point 2 4 operatives with free APL, which is really, really flexible on top of your leader, who is also free APL. Now, the special thing about Kasrkin is their skill at arms. So generally, you're going to be going between Strike Fast, which gives you plus 1 movement, so everyone would be movement 7, and then Light 'em Up, which gives you Severe when shooting at ready operatives. And what Severe is if you don't roll any crits, you count as rolling 1 crit. So you can turn one of your normals into a crit if you haven't rolled a crit against ready operatives, which is really, really useful, especially when you're firing stuff like your melter gun. So you've got some nice flexibility and board threat there. You've also got some nice mobility with Relocate, which gives you free dashes from Turning Point 2 onwards, as long as you've taken the Recon Trooper. And then you've got ploys like Seize Initiative, which is better for you to try and secure winning initiative Turning Point 2 and onwards, but you have to spend it at the end of the turning point before you use it. And then you've got Neutralize Target, which will give you Relentless effectively against operatives not in cover and are activated, so you've got some counterbalance there. They've got decent ways to get rerolls, generally by spending CP, but you will actually have a lot of CP to use for rerolls because you're not using most of the deploys too much, although you have got Clearance Sweep, which is a nice way to get balanced from a quite wide area, especially if you're trying to stage an area to push up. But, you know, generally they're really, really good. You can take effectively 4 gunners, so you have a lot of shooting threat, and you can take the Demo Trooper who can place a really good mine. So it learns how it encourages you to experiment more with also placing mines, and kind of teaches you to how block off areas of the board or make it more difficult for your opponent to either get where they want to or onto objectives. So you can kind of do a nice damaging bubble with that. And also, once again, their warriors are pretty good because your standard Kasrkin trooper, once per turning point, can either do a free smoke or stun grenade action. And if you've taken 2 troopers, you can have 1 do a free smoke, 1 do a free stun. So once again, giving you extra equipment to use. So they're a quite really interesting team. For how to build them, once again, the Kasrkin Sergeant, I would always give the Plasma Pistol and Chainsword because you're going to get more out of his Plasma Pistol. Then I would build the Medic, the Demo Trooper, the Melter Gun, the Plasma Gun, the Grenade Launcher, the Recon Trooper, the Normal Trooper, and Vox Trooper. And then you have a choice either between the Sharpshooter or an Operative with a Hotshot Volley Gun. Personally, I prefer the Hotshot Volley Gun because, once again, if you're using this operative to shoot at ready operatives, when you've got Light 'em Up active, it goes from piercing 1 crits to just piercing 1. So you have 5 attacks, hitting on freeze, 3-4, piercing 1, which is really, really nice. Or you can take the sniper rifle. So the only problem with the sniper rifle is quite static, but it gives you the choice to learn how silent weapon works and see how powerful it is to fire once per game from conceal, but it is quite difficult to use. So that's where it comes down to your choice as a new player, basically whether you build the operative with the Hotshot Volley Gun or you build the sharpshooter, the sniper. It's your choice. Personally, I recommend going with a 4th gunner with the Hotshot Las Volley Gun, but you can also build the sniper and still get equal use. Although this is another team, kind of like Corsairs, where if you want to expand more, you'll just need to buy 1 or 2 more operatives to build another trooper and either the operative you haven't built, so either the sniper or the Hotshot Volley Gun, and then maybe the leader with the chainsaw, plasma, power sword, and las pistol if you wanted some more melee threat. But that's more of an expansion thing, which you don't generally need to do, and you get a lot out of this team as a single box team. And as I said, the reason I've placed them so highly is because they're so easy to play. They're quite straightforward. You just kind of have to learn about how you stage your operatives, how you give out the +1 APL, how you cover operatives with your medic to keep people alive from being shot to death. And then, yeah, they're really great and easy to paint. So it's not too complicated, and they're a really solid one box team. Really useful for learning how to play the game. Their main weakness is lack of melee, but generally when you're playing this team as a new player, you're going to focus on shooting a lot, and you do still have your leader who can flex into combat, as well as the ability to give all your operatives combat plays, so they're 3-4 in close combat. So they're still not, you know, great in combat, but they're not horrible, which is why I think they're so good. At number 2, probably not a surprise, it's Plague Marines. So the Plague Marine kill team is found in the kill team starter set, and you get 7 operatives, but you can only ever use 6. It's a 6 model Space Marine kill team. Now they can take Seek and Destroy and Security, which is not bad, it's fine. And they're a fixed model kill team. So when you buy them, no matter how you buy them, you're always going to have whatever you need, and you're always going to be choosing which operative you don't take. They are 5-inch move, but they are 14 wounds, as a standard Space Marine is with a 3-up armor save. But their special ability is every time they suffer damage, so, you know, when you push through damage, either like from a normal or a crit, on a 4-up you -1 damage from that. So you actually get a lot of ways to negate damage. And you also have abilities from basically being within 3 inches of enemy operatives, giving them poison tokens, which then like boosts your ability to damage them and interact with them. So they're a really tough and durable team. They are quite difficult to play, but they're still very forgiving as a new team. You've got your Sorcerer, who's really good at healing, who heals 2d6, and you either pick the highest unless you've rolled a natural 7. So you could either roll a 3 and a 4. Well, if you roll 2 3s and you heal 3 damage, or you roll a 6 and a 1 and heal 7, or a 6 and a 2 but heal 6, and any combination of 7 will fully heal 7. So you've got a lot of ways to do that. Everyone has Severe, usually on all their melee weapons and some of their shooting attacks, or you can upgrade them with equipment to make their shooting attacks severe as well. So even if you don't roll a crit, you're always going to have at least 1 crit. Your opponents kind of get punished for getting too close, because especially they're very unlikely to kill you in 1 hit unless they have a melter gun, and you have ways around punishing them to do so. Your icon gives you a free ploy, generally your injury ploy. So if someone is within control range of enemy operatives, they're -1 to hit, or unless they're within 3 inches of your icon or someone with a poison token. And they're just really fun to play. They are quite slow. 5 inches is a lot slower than people realize, but the way this team works is you basically control your own objective. You walk up and control the middle from turning point 2, and you just sit there and you try and punish your opponent for getting too close to you, and just slowly, as they bounce off of you, you heal up and then kill them. They are a bit difficult to paint because they do have a lot of details, but once again, they do have a lot of flat armor panels to get around that. But I think they're a very fun kill team. They're very, very durable, have a lot of healing and ways to play around their opponent, like with Plague of Flies. So you have a nice way to have obscurity, like a 3-inch obscuring bubble that you can shoot out of without being obscured yourself, unlike when you're in smoke. Because if you're inside smoke, while you'll be obscured when people are shooting at you, you also count as obscured when shooting at enemy operatives. So they will count as obscured to you, but not with Cloud of Flies. So you have a nice way to shoot at people not being obscured, while if people shoot at you, they're obscured. And yeah, they're really easy to get, because generally you would buy this from the starter set. So they're very, very affordable, because the starter set is like £67.50. And it's a great way to get started in the game. Obviously, they're a little bit more complex than their starter rules, and there's no real team construction because you get everything to build. Generally, I would always run the Champion, the Bombardier, the Icon Bearer, the Plaguecaster, then usually always the Warrior, because the Warrior can go to a 4-5 bolt gun against someone with poison tokens, which is very, very reliable. And then each game you're usually choosing between the Fighter and the Heavy Gunner with their Plague Spewer. I'm personally a fan of the Plague Spewer because repositioning and dashing 8 inches with a 2-inch threat range is better than the charge range, the 8-inch threat range from your Fighter, unless you're like repositioning, dashing and use its flail. I just really like the Toxic Flamer is very, very good. But you can flex around and experiment and find out which works for you, which is really, really nice. And the other thing is everyone can either be built with helmets or bare heads, so you get that nice modeling opportunity. And yeah, it's just a really great starter team. It is one of the more difficult teams to play. I would say after Corsairs, Plague Marines are quite tough because you're going to be finding, while you're quite durable, people are going to be outmaneuvering you. Your attack ops, while are good for learning the game with, can be quite restrictive because of your movement, and you're going to be finding you're just relying on your durability to stay alive. But when you're a new player making mistakes, Plague Marines would basically cover for that and give you a good time. So then finally, to no surprise, number one is Angels of Death. Angels of Death is the best starter kill team, and this is based off of getting them in the starter set. And of course, in the starter set, you get the captain with plasma pistol and power fist. You get the sergeant with the bolt rifle, the eliminator, the heavy gunner. You get 2 warriors with bolt guns, and then you've got the warrior with the bolt pistol and chainsword. So while this is quite a limited and basic option starting off, it's really perfect for a new player because generally you can't take the heavy gunner and eliminator, so you're swapping between both. As a new player, you're probably going to start off with the heavy gunner because it's 18 wounds, 3 up save, 5-inch movement, but with the heavy 4-inch movement, sorry, but with the heavy bolter. So that's walking around and firing is fun, but you're going to start like traversing slowly toward the eliminator, who while is 12 wounds, you'll find you'll get a lot more use out of the sniper rifle, which is permanent conceal on all its profiles, and one of them has seek light, so you can punish people hiding behind light cover. And you know, you've got a nice way, you've just got a nice way to balance between shooting and melee. And obviously the operative throwing the smoke grenade with the bolt gun, you could potentially count as the grenadier, although it would require some converting. But regardless, even if you go with the starter set loadout, you've got 1 melee operative with the chainsword, another melee operative with your captain, who is really, really good because with the iron halo, he can once per game basically just a scratch, reduce a normal hit to 0 damage. And then you've got nice range support to support that. But also the cool thing about the captain is effectively with heroic leader, you can adjust the doctrine. So you can start doing the shooting doctrine. So like you can do balanced if someone's within 6 for shooting. And then once all your shooting operatives are activated, you can use your leader's ability to switch that to the melee, so close assault doctrine, so when your leader and melee operatives charge in. So you get a lot of flexibility from that. You also have your chapter tactics, so you can pick 2 each game because you're not playing a tournament, so you can change your 2 chapter tactics every game, so you get a lot of flexibility with that. Your captain is also one of the best wielders with a power fist, because one of the only people hitting on freeze with the power fist at 5/7 and 5 attacks on brutal, so very, very tough to kill there. And you do have options to expand. Now, if you do want to expand, this is where it's probably going to be one of the more expensive kill teams, because you will need, you will need 5 more intercessor warriors and then 5 assault intercessors. So the reason you'll need to do that is because effectively you will need to build the intercessor gunner, which comes with the intercessors. So this is the one with the grenade launcher. And then you will also effectively need to build 2 sergeants, the close combat sergeant and the shooty sergeant. Then you'd also need to build the assault grenadier, although you could get around with trying to build the grenadier from just 5 intercessors. Because if you buy 5 normal intercessors, you can use 1 to make the heavy gunner. You can use 1 to try and convert into the grenadier, because you just need a grenade arm, and then you can give the other arm like a chainsword or bolt pistol. Then you can build your close combat sergeant, your shooty sergeant, and then you can build another shooty operative if you want. So another intercessor warrior with bolt gun. And generally, as long as you're telling your opponent what weapons they have, you can be quite relaxed with just like, even if you've modeled different guns, as long as you tell your opponent what they are each game, you don't have to be worried too much about what they look like. So you could get away with just buying 5 intercessors, but ideally you'd like to buy 5 intercessors and 5 assault intercessors. But that's only if you expand upon the kill team. But starting off, they're very, very good. As I said, you've got your Devastator Doctrine, Tactical Doctrine, and Assault Doctrine. So no matter what, whether you're shooting at long range, mid range, and close range, or fighting, you're always going to have 1 reroll, which is really, really good. You've got Purity Seals. So once per turning point, you can discard a miss from if you've rolled 2 or more misses and turn the other into a hit. You've got Indomitus, so if you've got 2 failed save rolls, you can discard 1 to make the other into a success. So you have lots of ways to get reliable rerolls and also fix your dice. They're very dependent, durable, fun. They have quite a low skill ceiling, but they're very forgiving and rewarding to play. And also because they're Space Marines, they're very interchangeable and flexible. So you can use like chapter customization kits to upgrade them to be your specific chapter, and paint them however you like to represent your own chapter, and then also use the chapter tactics to reflect that chapter better, because currently we have no dedicated chapter kill teams like ones for Imperial Fists or Blood Angels. So it's a really, really good jumping off point, especially if you're coming from 40k, but they're really, really forgiving to play. Then you can expand and just see how flexible they can be, because the Space Marine Captain is going to give you the most flexibility with flexing around with the team. But I think they're very fun and easily the best, because especially if you're buying the starter set for you and a friend, you can take the Space Marines and they can take the Plague Marines or vice versa. And it's a very easy buy-in, because especially if you just split it down the middle, you're effectively spending like nearly £33 for a full kill team, considering most kill teams direct from GW are about nearly £50 now. That's a really good saving. And yeah, they're just really good. So overall, just quickly summarizing my top 5 kill teams for new players. Once again, you have the Corsair Voidscarred, because they're fast, deadly, but are also quite vulnerable. They are a year 1 classified team, but everyone is either shooting really well or fighting really well with their power weapons. Then you've got Kommandos. They're also a year 1 classified team, but they're effectively an 11 operative kill team, can charge from conceal, very, very durable with just a scratch, and have good shooting and decent melee. Then you've got Kasrkin. They're a 2-year classified team, so they'll be classified for 2 more years, but they're really easy to learn with. You're either flexing between +1 movement or giving severe for your shooting. 10 operatives, also an easy 1-box team. You are predominantly a shooting team, which is very easy to learn, with a melee leader, and you have a comms, which is the best comms in the game. Then you've also got Plague Marines, who are found in the starter set, a really tough and durable team with lots of healing, damage negation. They are slower and they have a limited pool to build from, but you'll never need to buy more for them unless you just wanted to do more conversions. And they're very, very fun to play in a thematic way. And then once again, number 1, you have Angels of Death, mainly from the starter set, but obviously you can expand for them with 5 intercessors and 5 assault intercessors. But they're very dependable team, flexible, really have a lot of ways to reroll dice and change dice into successes, and are just very forgiving to play. Definitely the easiest team for a new player. And the great thing, all the kill team rules are free to download for factions. So if you wanted to then go on like, oh, I'm interested in more factions now, I've got a good solid head on the game, then you can look on the Warhammer community website or the Kill Team app and see what other kill teams you'd like to play and expand from there, which is really, really good. I really love how the new edition is way more welcoming for new players and really easy to get into. The only downside is the free rules available online from GW are just the light rules, so they're not the full kill team rules, but they're still enough for you to get going. Ideally, however you find the rules for the core game, I'd recommend doing that. But the great thing, all the rules for every team is free, and you can start experimenting once you're comfortable on one team, which is really, really nice. But that's pretty much it from me today. Please remember to like and subscribe as well as comment. Let me know what you thought of today's video. Did you think my 5 kill teams were useful? What other kill teams would you recommend? And remember, I've got a Discord you can check out in the episode description below, an affiliate link at Element Games, a Patreon, an affiliate link and discount code at Crossfire Games, and a Patreon if you want to give me some more support, and I'll quickly shout out my patrons. So for my adepts of the crit, I have Zombie Businessman, Tom, Super Cow, Sam, Nick, Mercenary Q, Mr. Meatwad, Lucas, John Thomas, Jeremiah, Graham, Fangzu, Draken, Dave Meetsworld, Darcy, Dad of Golden's Chris, and then for my veterans of the crit, I have Sam, Joe, and Mark. So thank you so much for all your support. It really means a lot to me and helps support the channel. Yeah, this was actually a quite difficult video because originally it was really hard to find the last kill team, and then I settled on Corsairs because I wanted a flexible Xenos team because there wasn't many Xenos teams, and I was thinking about Blooded, but I think Horde teams are too difficult to play for new players even if they are Blooded. So it was actually kind of difficult finding that list of 5 buildable from one box or one source, and also being useful to new players. So hopefully it's useful. And, you know, especially with this holiday season coming up, you find it useful, especially if you're a new player, or recommending it to your friends to get into Kill Team. But remember, no matter where you start in Kill Team, there's always a chance to win as long as you can roll a crit.